The first kingdom that was able to extend its boundary beyond the Ganga plains was that of the Nandas. It was because of these conquests the Puranas call the Nandas Ekarat or Ek Kshatra, which means sole sovereign. But when it comes to their origin, some sources do not hold the Nandas in high esteem. It is this question of origin which will be discussed in this video. Now, when we talk about the origin of the Nandas, we find that we have two types of sources. The first are the foreign sources and the second are the Indian sources. Now, both of these sources are not contemporary sources, which means these sources were not written during the time of the Nandas. When we look at these foreign sources, they are mainly concerned with Alexander's invasion of India. And it is in this context they talk about the Nandas. These sources tell us that when Alexander was in India, a person named Chandragupta came to the camp of Alexander. Now this Chandragupta was none other than our Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya had arrived in Alexander's camp to urge him to attack the Nanda Empire. Chandragupta Maurya argued that the Nanda emperor, because of his low origin, was detested by his subjects and the empire was in general state of anarchy. So he urged Alexander to invade the Nanda Empire. This is what these foreign Western sources tell us about the Nandas. But there are some Western sources which provide us a greater detail. Take for example Diodorus, a Greek historian who wrote his history around the 1st century BC. Now, when talking about the Nanda emperor, Diodorus addresses him as the son of a barber. Another Western historian, Curtius, who was in fact a Roman historian who existed around 1st century CE, when talking about the episode when Chandragupta Maurya came to the camp of Alexander, writes, and I quote, Chandragupta, Chandragupta Maurya, reported to Alexander that the present king was not merely a man of originally of no distinction, but even of the very meanest condition. His father, in fact, was a barber. Some of these Western sources also describe how the Nandas founded their empire. In these sources, the founder of the Nanda Empire is called Agrames. Agrames is most likely Ugrasen of the Buddhist sources. Ugrasen in Buddhist sources is described as the founder of the Nanda Empire. Now, in these Western sources, we are told that Agrames was the barber of the king and he developed a close relation with the queen. And gaining the trust of the queen, he went on to assassinate the king. Having murdered the king, Agrames went on to become the guardian of the princes who were too young for the throne. Soon, acting as their guardian, he assassinated these princes and established himself as the new king of Magad. So these are the details which are mentioned in Western sources. In the Indian sources, we have three types of sources. The first are the Puranas, the second are the Buddhist sources, and the third are the Jain sources. Coming to the Puranas are generally upset with the Nandas. That is why they are called adharmika or immoral. The Puranas tell us that the founder of the Nanda Empire was someone called Mahanand. Vishnu Puran gives us a detailed description of the Nandas, and this description goes like this. The son of Mahanand will be born of a woman of the Shudra. His name will be Nanda, called Mahapadma. For he will be exceedingly avaricious like another Parashuram. He will be the annihilator of the Kshatriya race, for after him the kings of the earth will be Shudras. He will bring the whole earth under one umbrella. So this is what is written in the chapter 24th of the Vishnu Puran. On the one hand, Puranas are describing the Nandas as immoral or adharmika, but on the other hand, we can see that there is a certain sense of awe with them. Titles like Ekarat or another Pashuram reflects the might of the Nandas, as it was they who uprooted the neighboring Kshatriya dynasty of the Ganga plains. Unlike the Puranas, the Buddhist sources does not talk much about the Nandas. In Mahavamsh Tika, the Nandas are described as of Annatakula. which means of unknown lineage. This title is used for the founder of the Nandas, who is called Ugrasen in the Buddhist sources. The Jain sources, on the other hand, provide us a great detail about the origin of the Nandas. There is a text called Avashyak Sutra, and in this text we are told that the father of the founder of the Nanda Empire was a barber, which is similar to the detail which is present in the Western sources. But unlike the Western sources, here the mother of the founder of the Nanda Empire is not a queen, but she is a courtesan. This text also uses the word Naptidas for the Nanda king, which means slave of the barber. Now there is another interesting detail which is mentioned in another Jain text. This text is called Parishisht Parvan, which was written by the famous Jain Acharya Hemchandra Suri. This text recounts what happened after Chandragupta Maurya had defeated the Nanda king. The Nanda king was allowed to take as much treasure as possible on a chariot. The Nanda king was accompanied by his 2 queens and a daughter. Now when the daughter of the Nanda king saw Chandragupta Maurya, she fell in love with him, and the Nanda king allowed his daughter to marry Chandragupta Maurya. Now what does this detail tell us about the origin of the Nandas? I would like to know your opinion. Coming back to our question, we find that most of these sources agree on 2 important points. First, there were 9 Nanda kings, and second, the Nandas came from a humble origin. So if the Nandas are from a humble origin, this shows that in ancient India, hailing from a prestigious clan did not always guarantee royal power. The fact that the house of the Nandas went on to create an empire shows that even a person from a humble origin could become an emperor if he played his cards right. Just like the origin of the Nandas, we find that our sources have a general sense of confusion when it comes to the question of the origin of the Mauryas. In the next video, which you can watch it here when it will be uploaded, we will discuss about this question. If you liked this video, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.